All right, guys, I want to tell you about Wix.com. Wix make it easy to put together a professional website. And if you go to Wix.com/believe, you're going to get 10% off any premium plan. Build your own website, Wix.com/believe. Anyway, take a look at this. Roll the highlight. Co-main event, Diaz, Pettis. The return of Nate Diaz after, 3 years, right? 3 years.
Crazy long layoff. Crazy long layoff. And I guess Harrington had pointed this out, or maybe it was Brian that pointed it out before the show started. I guess on the countdown shows, where they have the segments on YouTube, twice as many people viewing the Anthony Pettis and Nate Diaz breakdown versus Stipe versus Cormier. For what it's worth, I don't know that it takes anything away from Stipe and Cormier, because I'm sure those videos are being watched more than most other ones. But I think Nate Diaz coming back after a 3-year layoff, it just goes to show you that's how, because it's not Pettis. No offense to Pettis, he's great, but people are watching those videos because they want to see what the fuck Nate Diaz is going to say and do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to be honest, you can use the conversion of YouTube views into the public's interest. For example, or I've read articles where people are trying to devise how many pay-per-views were sold on a pay-per-view event, and they'll look at the viewing figures for the prelims. Right, and they'll say, well, for UFC 100, or I don't know, a big one, UFC 200, the prelims on FS1 did this amount, and the pay-per-views we know historically now with this amount. And then let's pick another event that did low. They say, well, if we look at that, we see that the FS1 prelims did a much lower number, and the pay-per-view was low. So they do correlate.
I'm sure if you were a smart mathematician, you can take every UFC prelim, everything, and probably put together an actual real formula to figure out what it is that was accurate. I'm sure
an algorithm,
and then predict future pay-per-views.
Oh, look, my God. Go on.
1.3 million views for the countdown Anthony Pettis versus look, that is very interesting. And yeah, you're right, you can look, this is the beautiful part about social media, and YouTube is a part of that. We can quantify it all. There's no debate. You can see how popular somebody is, how many fans somebody has. You can see how many people are viewing their shows, and you can kind of deduce how popular something is. Nate Diaz is a major star. Not many stars like him. The Diaz brothers, obviously there's Connor, there's the Diaz brothers. There's not many other people out there that it's just singular guys that you put them on a card and then everyone's eyes are drawn to it. It's very few.
Well, he's captivating. The way, number one, the way he fights and the way he talks. He's a very interesting individual. There was a piece with, I only saw it was like a 15-second clip on Instagram with Brett Okamoto interviewing him. And he says, so you've kind of been like a white whale or a white dolphin. I forget what it was. What do you think of that? And Diaz just goes, I don't know what a white whale is. And I forget Brett Okamoto's response, but it was like, it was a good analogy that he used. But even though that was just something so silly, it was captivating the way Diaz said it. Do you know what I mean? He's an interesting guy. He's good to watch on the microphone. He's got an interesting personality. Of course, he's got a, do or die attitude inside the cage. He's tough as fuck. He's got a great chin, excellent jiu-jitsu, cardio for days. Striking is very, very good. And he's exciting as hell. Walks forward, and he's a badass. He's talking shit to his opponents. His jiu-jitsu is world class. He's sticking up the double birds as he's sinking in triangles. His post-fight speeches are awesome. Come on, what an iconic line when Joe Rogan said, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. It was great.
Beautiful.
One of the best lines ever. One of the best lines ever. So
was it Nate or Nick that said, trained by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night? That was Nick, right?
Oh, I have no idea, but yeah, I have heard that.
Another great little soundbite. Yeah, dude, he's fucking everything. He's got it all. And
adding to that, the fact that he has been away for so long. Just like in anything, absence makes the heart grow fonder. He's got legions of fans out there that have been waiting for him to make a return, and now here it is. So it's no surprise that the YouTube figures are higher. I don't think that necessarily correlates to the public's interest. It's just that Diaz has been away for so long, and they know that he's going to say controversial shit. So they want to see what he has got to say.
And not for nothing, and I hate to always bring it back to him, but it is the truth. His last 2 fights were against Conor McGregor, which just, that imprint in people's minds, it's like Conor has so much shine that actually does have value there as well. It's like, oh, is he going to talk about Conor? If he wins this fight, is Conor going to be the next one? He did go 1-1. It does seem to be the sort of dangling carrot that's out there for both, not only for him, but for the public as well. I think mostly everybody wants to see that fight, obviously behind him, Conor versus Khabib. So, yeah, he's got it all. But 3 years off is a very long time, my friend. Very, very long time. And I think more often than not, we see that affect fighters in a negative way than not affect them at all. And you can name examples where it hasn't affected them at all. But I think it is. I love the Diaz brothers, but I'm nervous for Nate Diaz in this fight.
I think Diaz is going to lose the fight. If I'm honest.
I do too.
I do. I think Diaz is going to lose the fight. Now, listen, bloody hell. I'm a fan of Pettis. I'm a fan of Diaz. I've just spoken highly of Diaz for the last 10 minutes. Nothing negative to say. It's just the fact that he's been away for 3 years, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because, he does have, he's a natural fighter. He loves to fight, so that's no problem. I don't think there's going to be any ring rust or anything like that. But I just don't know. Has he been in the gym for 3 years? Because if he hasn't, that's going to affect him a little bit. Pettis has been fighting the whole time at multiple weight classes, still fighting world-class competition, and he's a very, very good striker. And I think what Pettis is going to do is exactly what Conor McGregor did in the second fight, which was chop down that lead leg. Diaz is very heavy on that lead leg. Conor kicked the hell out of it, took him off his feet a couple of times. And don't tell me that Pettis isn't watching that saying, yep, I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And Diaz, as great as he is, his mentality of being a fighter so much, I think that might hurt him because he's not going to think, I need to change my style. He's like, nah, fuck that, man. I don't need to change shit. I'll still fuck this motherfucker up. You know what I'm saying? So, like, fucking kick my leg, bitch. I take you down. I choke you out, man.
You got Mexican there, really Mexican at the end. I like it. Yeah, I agree with you that, the data's there for Pettis to emulate. The 3 years off, big problem. The Diaz brothers in general. Have we seen them evolve much as fighters? Have they gotten better because the competition's gotten better? They've fought sort of to the competition. Yeah. But it doesn't seem like the Diaz brothers are like George St. Pierre, right? Where they go, shit, I had a problem there. Well, I need to go address that in every way in the gym, and I need to bring in 5 different doctors and coaches to figure out a way. They're not those guys. They don't even see the problem. They lose fights, and they're like, yeah, motherfucker, I won that fight. Sorry, bitch. And you're like, what? And everyone cheers them, and they're like, they're in their own psychotic world, which it's the reason I love them. They're so badass. Like, dude, Nick Diaz after the GSP fight was like, yeah, I won that fight. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? There's no metric that you won that fight. Yeah. But he will tell you straight up that he won that fight, and I love that. I really love that attitude. But I don't believe...
Go on.
Well, sorry, I was going to say, I just don't believe that Nate Diaz has been in the gym evolving, learning new tricks, changing the things that were wrong with his game plan. And if he had been doing that over the past 3 years, like George St. Pierre was doing, you saw him with gymnastics coaches and doing like crazy shit. Nice microphone, by the way. It looks like a Star Trooper's dick.
Well, it's been thrust into my mouth many times over the course of the evening. No, you're right. But the thing is, as a fighter, you've got to be realistic with yourself, but you also do need that kind of delusion, to be honest. You still got to have that confidence. And Diaz still firmly believes he won that second fight with Conor McGregor. It was close as hell. Honestly, I think probably Conor did take it, but it was one of those fights you could argue it both ways. Harrington, welcome back to the Believe You Me podcast. I believe you have, because I saw in your notes, you want to break this down, apparently. Is that correct?
Well, Harrington, what do you think of this? Me and Bisping are both leaning toward Pettis in this fight, the layoff being a major factor in this. Also, when you look at who Pettis has lost against recently, Poirier, Max Holloway, Tony Ferguson, I mean, the best of the best, sometimes you forget. Sometimes you go, oh, he's had some losses, and you go, oh, no, he's only lost to the absolute best of those 3 divisions. So what do you think of? Do you think we're wrong here? Do you think Nate Diaz comes back and wins?
Yeah, I'm all in on Diaz. I was talking to Dave Smith about this yesterday. I don't know a time where Anthony Pettis has been dragged into deep water and he's recovered. Somebody like Nate Diaz, I think, can take the biggest, baddest shots that Pettis can throw and will still be there coming at him in the second and third round. I think Nate Diaz just gets it done with volume.
It's not deeper water, though, because it is a 3-round fight, right?
Bam, 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 bam. That's what I was just about to say, because the deeper water, I mean, going from 5 rounds to doing 3 rounds, it's a big difference. And if Pettis has success early, chopping down the legs, throwing a lot of leg kicks and all the rest of it, and uses movement and to counter Diaz's forward pressure. Because, Diaz is probably going to come out throwing 1-2 shots, right? Or throwing a little hook slap here and there. He does throw a few kicks, but kicking is not his strong suit. It's his boxing and jiu-jitsu. And he has, not the best takedown game. He's not the strongest wrestler, but that's no disrespect. He gets the job done with his hands and his jiu-jitsu. That's his style. I'm not saying that in a detrimental fashion. I think, and over a 3-round fight, if Pettis can get ahead for the first 2 rounds, he's fucked, So Diaz needs to realize he hasn't got any time to waste. Listen, can he win the fight? Of course he can. Can Pettis win the fight? Of course he can. And I just think stylistically, Pettis has cleaner, crisper, more diverse striking.
The kicks, I think, will be a huge factor in this fight, right? So Nate really has no kicks. Pettis has kicks for days, all over the place, yep. Crazy angles. I think Diaz, sometimes he can be complacent with what he does. Like, he'll sit there and he'll just box you and he'll be losing the fight, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of urgency beyond that. He's a killer, and he'll just always continue to fight. But I think that, you're right. He's going to have problems with the diversity of Pettis. I think Pettis is going to have way too many different angles to come at him and way too much space between him. If Diaz can get inside, he can outbox him. But even the boxing, it's like debatable. I mean, Diaz is a great boxer, but, Anthony Pettis, that's his bread and butter, is striking.
Yeah, 100%. I gotta stop saying that. Somebody talked shit on Twitter the other day saying, do a shot every time Michael Bisping says 100% when I was commentating. And now I do notice myself saying it. So shame me next time I do. No, the problem as well, potentially for Diaz, is that Pettis is one of, he's a legendary fighter. He was the Wheaties box guy, right? He was a WEC champion, came to the UFC, got the belt, right? And then he kind of went on a skid, shall we say. But as you said before, the people that he lost to were the cream of the crop. Barboza, Holloway, Gagey, or whoever it was you mentioned. I haven't got his record in front of me right now. But still, now he's moved up a weight class. He takes on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who's a very, very high-level fighter, knocks him out right at the end of the round. Okay, admittedly, he was losing, but he knocks him out. Right, I don't think Wonderboy had ever been knocked out before. Didn't get knocked out against Tyron Woodley, but he gets knocked out against Pettis. So all of a sudden, his stock in the welterweight division is high. If he wants to reclaim those glory days when he was on top of the sport, when he was put on a Wheaties box, when he made his name, that made him a legend in his hometown, that brought him all the money, the fame, the glory that he now receives, right? If he wants to get all that back, Jesus Christ, knocking out Wonderboy Thompson and then beating Nate Diaz back-to-back, that's fucking huge. So he's got so much motivation in this fight because everybody knows, Pettis knows, everyone's tuning in to watch Diaz fight, right? And he's going to take all that glory. He's going to take all that momentum. Beat Wonderboy, beat Diaz. Holy shit. We might have another potential contender at 170. So there's so much motivation for him.
For sure. You beat Nate Diaz, you're right there in that conversation. It doesn't matter. He's just too much of a star. It doesn't matter that he has 3 years off. And the other thing that's great for Anthony Pettis is that Nate Diaz is a very small 170-pounder. So it's not like this is his new home at 170 pounds. He's fighting another guy who spent most of his career at 155 and essentially should be fighting at 155 pounds. So it's sort of a little bit of a cheat. It reminds me of when Conor fought Nate at 170. It's like, yeah, you guys are 255 pounders. Let's get real.
No, I know that whole dialogue that, whoa, Conor's coming up and fighting somebody at 170. No, he's not. Nate Diaz is a 155er. Nate Diaz is coming back for maybe a one-time fight at 170 pounds against Anthony Pettis, who honestly is a fucking 155. Okay, yeah. But Diaz can't be bothered cutting the weight. You know why? Because it fucking sucks. And I don't think people should cut weight anyway. All the people at 170 should go to 185. 185 should go to 205, so on and so forth. But I kind of lost my flow there. Where was I
It's
going?
okay. No, we were talking about Pettis being 155er and giving Nate credit for, or either one of them really credit. This is a 155-pound fight. That's the reality what this is. Yes. And one of them are going to move forward way forward at 170 with a win in this division.
Yeah, 100%. And let's look at Diaz when he did go up to 170 officially in the past. He came back down to 155 because he was too small.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but remember what Rory McDonald did to Nate Diaz?
Suplexed him to hell. It was nuts. Like 5 suplexes in a row. It was awesome.
Yeah, threw him around like a rag doll. And that's no shame to Diaz. It's just there's weight classes for a reason. The guy was just too big and, you know, to be fair, too good at the time. So, yeah. So, anyway, so there you go. My official pick. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong, much like the previous fight. But I'll go with Pettis. What do you say, Lewis?
I think I'm leaning toward Pettis too. Look, I'm rooting for Nate so hard. What are the odds? Harrington? Do we have them?
Pettis at -130. Nate Diaz getting back at +110.
Yeah, it's too close to put any money.
Yes, it's Nate Diaz at -110. You're still whispering. I don't understand. Yeah, who cares? I'm not bothered. I've got Pettis.
I'm leaning toward Pettis because of everything we discussed, but I will be rooting hard for Nate Diaz. Huge Nate Diaz fan.